Egypt. And we know Egypt was an idolatrous kingdom. Had many different deities and people or men who they set up as deities. Let's see something happen here. Let's start at verse 9. Genesis 40 and 9. Let's see what we can find among the customs. We know Egypt was deities.
That's right. That's right.
Most people know that.
They pride themselves on to this day.
And they pride themselves, even in Egypt, all the gods of Egypt. Let's look at a custom in Egypt that the people were participating in. Genesis 40, and let's start at verse 9, my brother.
And the chief butler told his dream to Joseph and said to him, in my dream, behold, a vine was before me.
Now we're picking it up here with old Joseph. Joseph found himself in prison, but he understood how to interpret dreams. So a couple of Pharaoh's servants was thrown into prison. And they had these dreams and they wanted Joseph to interpret it, okay? So the one who came unto Joseph, one was a chief butler, the other one was a baker. Okay, let's skip down a little bit further. So the chief butler came unto Joseph and told Joseph the dream, and he said, a vine was before me. And he began to tell Joseph the dream. But let's skip down a little further. Let's skip down to verse 16. Let's see something else.
When the chief baker saw that the interpretation was good, he said unto Joseph, I also was in my dream, and behold, I had 3 white baskets on my head.
So now the chief baker is telling him his dream that he had. The chief butler and the chief baker. 2 of the people you need to do any type of festivities.
That's right.
So now we have here something going on with these dreams. So Joseph's going to start to tell them the dream. Let's start with verse 18.
And Joseph answered and said, this is the interpretation thereof. The 3 baskets are 3 days. Yet within 3 days shall Pharaoh lift up thy head from off thee.
Now this is the dream interpretation for the chief baker. Not the butler, but the baker. Go ahead and continue.
And shall hang thee on a tree, and the birds shall eat thy flesh from off thee.
So Joseph interpreted his dream and said, look man, you're going to wind up dying. All right, go ahead and read, brother.
And it came to pass the 3rd day, and it came to pass the 3rd day, which was Pharaoh's birthday, that he made a feast unto all his servants.
What day was it?
It was Pharaoh's birthday.
You mean to tell me we find the customs of birthday right here in the culture in Egypt, an idolatrous kingdom? You find the celebration of birthdays. Now that's serious, because we read in the laws and the commandments, do not do as the nations did.
That's right.
So we see the nations, which were the Egyptians, who's observing their birthday. Now that's very, very interesting. Go ahead and read, brother.
And lifted up the head of the chief butler and of the chief baker among his servants. And he restored the chief butler unto his butlership again. And he gave the cup into Pharaoh's hand. But he hanged the chief baker as Joseph had interpreted to them.
On the Pharaoh's birthday, he killed the chief baker. But we see that Pharaoh is observing the customs of birthday celebration.
That's right.
Now, let's go, if you will, my brother. I want to read something here. This is out of look like a foreign name here. Squabishi, Viet Tong. Squabishi, Viet Tong. And the magazine is the supplement of Viet
and Wells.
And Wells. And was that April 3rd and 4th?
April 3rd and 4th, 1981.
Page 4?
Page 4.
What does that say? This is talking about birthday celebration here.
The various customs with which people today celebrate their birthdays have a long history. The origins lie in the realm of magic and religion.
The origins of birthday lies in the realm of magic and religion. And we know the Egyptians practiced a lot of that, didn't they?
Yes, they
magic
did.
And religion. Continue to read.
The customs of offering congratulations, presenting gifts, and celebrating, complete with lighted candles, in ancient times were meant to protect the birthday celebrant from demons and to ensure his security for the coming year.
And at that time, most of the wealthy celebrated their birthdays, but especially the kings. That's why we find in the scriptures Pharaoh, king of Egypt, partaking in his religious magical festival on his birthday. Did you finish? Just read everything highlighted.
Down to the 4th century Christianity, down to the 4th century Christianity rejected the birthday celebration as a pagan custom.
Wait a minute now. The early Christians did what?
Rejected the birthday celebration
As what?
as a pagan custom.
Because that's what it is. The early believers in the scriptures rejected birthdays as a pagan custom. And we're going to further find out why. Go ahead and read.
The Greeks believed that everyone had a protective spirit, or
We're going to wait on that.
okay.
So this is what we read out of this magazine. We got copies here to help us save from carrying a bunch of books. What do you call it? A magical and religious festival. Now, if you will, we're going to go here in the Apocrypha here. We're going to go here in the Apocrypha, and we want to start reading in 2 Maccabees 6. 2 Maccabees 6. See, you ain't bring yours to the table, bro.
No, sir.
All right, bro, all right.
Okay.
2 Maccabees chapter 6, and we're going to read verse 1, and then we're going to skip down to verse 4. 2 Maccabees 6, we're going to read verse 1, and then we're going to skip.
Okay.
So now we're going to look a little bit further. Now remember, we found we are not supposed to observe and follow the customs of the nations. The Torah said we shall not do so unto Yah our Creator. So now we see among the nations, Paul said, they drink and partake at the table of devils.
That's right.
So we see that the nations here, which we're dealing with Egypt first, they observed and celebrated the birthday custom, a religious and magical custom, according to the Ziyad and Welt magazine. So now, 2 Maccabees, chapter 6, verse 1. What does it read, brother?
Not long after this, the king sent an old man of Athens to compel the Jews to depart from the laws of their fathers and not to live after the laws of God.
Again, there always been a wicked spirit trying to stop us from being observant to the laws of our fathers. Okay, that's why we're dealing with this birthday thing now, because they rather deal with some birthdays or deal with Christmas or any other thing instead of dealing with what's written in the Holy Scriptures. So let's skip down to verse 4.
For the temple was filled with riot and reveling by the Gentiles,
The temple was filled with riot and reveling by the nations or the Gentiles. Go ahead, brother.
who dallied with harlots and had to go down with women within the circuit of the holy places.
Committing fornication and harlotry all in the church. Go ahead and read.
And besides that, brought in things that were not lawful. The altar was also filled with profane things, which the law forbiddeth. Neither was it lawful for a man to keep the Sabbath days or ancient feasts, or to profess himself to be a Jew.
No, anything pertaining to the laws in the Torah, the nations hate it. They don't want you to deal with it. Even unto this day, they have been persuading people to put away the Holy Scriptures, all right? But let's continue to read this now. They're doing all of this idolatry, polluting the temple, forbidding people to worship the Torah, and notice what they're going to want. Now, they didn't want the people to observe the Torah.
Right.
Let's see what they wanted the people to do. Go ahead and read that.
And in the day of the king's birth,
Oh, in the day of the king's birth. This king they're talking about here is Antiochus IV. All right? Antiochus IV. And the day of his birth.
and in the day of the king's birth, every month, they were brought by bitter constraints to eat of the sacrifices.
So, see, at one time, they didn't celebrate their birthday every year. They would celebrate their birthday every month.
Whatever, that same date.
That same date in a different month. So here, Antiochus is celebrating his birth date. Okay? Now, he started to do what with bitter constraints? Go ahead and read that again. In the day of the king's birth.
And in the day of the king's birth, every month, they were brought by bitter constraint to eat of the sacrifices. And when the feast of Bacchus was kept, the Jews were compelled to go in procession to Bacchus carrying ivy.
So they was forced to go worship Bacchus and his party life. Bacchus, the god of revelry and wine. But they were forced by bitter constraint
That's right.
to partake in the festivities of Antiochus' birthday.